Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Donnie Glover Show. And I'm Donnie Glover, publisher of BMoreNews.com and BlackUSA.News. This is the new book. I'm so proud of her. I Am Black Wall Street. Not a long read, but I get into some of the history of how those people got to Oklahoma in the first place, how those strong black pioneers got out there in the wild, wild west. That was in a day and time when you had people like Bass Reeves, the original. He's the man that they created the Lone Ranger after, Bass Reeves, a black man. We talk about Chief John Horse in the book. A lot of people don't know that Florida was a free state up until 1831. So if you were enslaved in places like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, you could escape to Florida, convert to Catholicism, and agree to fight for the militia, and you would be granted your freedom. Anyway, we have a very special edition tonight. We want to do something that we have never done, which is speak with and bring to the fore the various members of the BlackUSA.News family. For those who may not know, we launched BlackUSA.News, I guess at the end of last year. And the whole purpose was to grow our national audience. Be More News is still focused on Baltimore and the state of Maryland. But we needed something because we like to cover news across the country. So we have some shows in California. We have some shows in New York. And by the way, if you're interested in hosting a show, you're going to find the sweetest deal ever here at BlackUSA.News. And I'm going to run it this way until December, till the last of December. So come January, we may revamp how we are bringing in hosts. But at the present, if you want a show and you are about your work, you're serious, then we welcome you into the family. Come January, we're going to have to start charging. But right now, we can bring you onto this network. If you are about your work, and I'm dead serious about that. If you're about your work and you want to do a show, you want to host a show, and you're going to be consistent, then we want to welcome you to the BlackUSA.News family. We have a number of wonderful personalities involved, as Mr. Michael Haney, one of our huge sponsors. Matter of fact, in retrospect, I got to tell you, Mr. Haney afforded us the opportunity to do our first live broadcast from Africa, Uganda, and Kenya. And we got a chance. I really enjoyed the show that we did live from Kenya because we were talking about one of Kenya's national treasures, and that's their runners. Did you see them in the Olympics? Kenyans are no joke. Only ones that can really mess with the Kenyans are the Ethiopians, and I'm talking about distance running. So thank you, Mr. Haney. Matter of fact, I spoke with your baby brother not long ago, my Morehouse brother. It's back to school time. Prayerfully, the guest that we have will come on. This is a special guest. This is not one of our regular shows. A lady who is a pediatrician. I don't know about you, but I'm very concerned about our young people going back to school. We're getting mixed messages. I'm seeing people protest their child wearing a mask. What is wrong with Americans? Can anybody tell me? Wear the mask. It's what? What is there to talk about? You know, take the vaccine. Don't take the vaccine, but wear your mask. And some of the people not wearing masks are just some of the nastiest people. It's like, ooh. Anyway, trying to stay positive this evening. Speaking of which, make sure you take care of your mental health. Make sure you fall in love with that person in the mirror. If I've seen it locally, I've seen it nationally. People going through it right now. Everybody. Nobody is immune. Everybody's going through this storm. everybody's going through a storm right now, and mental health is everything. Keeping your peace of mind no matter what, making sure your children aren't stressed out. And with this going back to school thing, that's why it's real important that we, get a chance to talk with our health professionals. It's a really stressful time. And then they're talking about ending the rent moratorium or the break on rent. So it's a lot going on in the country out there in California. Let me just get to the jugular. We have with us right now Kamal Hubbard. Hey, Kamal.
Hey, Donnie. How's it going?
I'm blessed by the best. Now, Kamal, ladies and gentlemen, does a show on Friday nights, Black USA Crypto News. How has your tenure been here on the network, Kamal? Tell them how it is. We're trying to recruit some new radio hosts. We're trying to grow the family even more. As you know, we have broadcasting 6 days a week, and you run the Friday night show, 7 o'clock East Coast time, 4 o'clock West Coast time. You've had on some phenomenal guests. I mean, your show has been like more like a class.
Yeah, that's what I want it to be. Our community doesn't always have the opportunity to be availed of things when it comes to technology, certainly when it comes to finance. So I take it upon myself to take a educational approach that's still an approachable educational approach that's approachable. I don't know, maybe that's repetitive and redundant, but you got me towards the end of the day. But regardless, I want to keep it at a very, not at a high level, but once again, at a level that the average person can take. There's a very steep learning curve when it comes to blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. And so I want people to be able to take bits and pieces, small bits and pieces at a time, but then also present what's going on currently. So they can, once again, learn new things, but then understand what's going on now and how it's going to affect things in the future.
Okay, now here's your show. Black USA Crypto News with Kamal Hubbard, Fridays, 7 p.m. East Coast, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Learn about Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and more. But let's also look at what's on the ticker now. DeFi for the Diaspora. That's your book, Creating the Foundation to a More Equitable and Sustainable Global Economy Through Decentralized Finance. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, well, obviously with everything that took place last year, and the protest movement around Black Lives, with everything once again going on, the movement for Black Lives, I felt like this is what I needed to do, how I could contribute to the protest, the struggle, the fight. There's people who hit the streets amid COVID, and my hat goes out to them and all their courage. But one of the things that has hindered us not only in this country, but globally as Black people is our lack of access to finance, to capital. The literacy piece is also another issue. So I wanted to go back in history and talk about the history of money. And once again, with the shutdowns that were imposed in last year, we started to see cash and coinage shortages. And, we needed to look at the future of money. So it's one part Black history, one part Black futurism when it comes to finance and how we can create a sustainable and equitable global Black ecosystem and economy so that we can support each other in, once again, a more sustainable fashion.
So, Kamal, are you in Oakland or not?
I'm in the East Bay. I'm about 15 minutes away from Oakland in a city called Hayward.
So so when I tell people where you're from, I tell them you're from East Bay.
Yes, this is the Bay Area. I'm just south of Oakland, maybe 2 cities away from Oakland in a city called Hayward.
Is it a majority Black town, white town, mixed?
It's pretty mixed. There's quite a few Black people here. As we know, Oakland is also, like many historically Black cities, are facing the ravages of gentrification. So, I'm sure Hayward has also gotten a little bit of that. Not as bad as Oakland itself, but Hayward's feeling it just like other parts of the Bay Area are as well.
Okay. Well, here's a sister who is a member of the Black USA family. Her name is Quita Chansey. Hello, Quita.
Hello, fellows. How are you? How are you today?
Good.
Hey, Quita. Good to meet you.
Let me warn you, Kamal. She's a big ball. She's a big ball of energy.
You know what? I'm a big ball of something. Sometimes it's energy. Sometimes it's something else. Y'all are going to get energy today, though. So y'all are going to get the good. Y'all are going to get the good.
Well, I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to let your energy come through.
Well, hold up. We got a question for you, Kamal, from one of our sponsors, Michael Haney. He asked what the outlook is for Dogecoin.
Well, Dogecoin is interesting. So if we think about the history of Dogecoin, why was Dogecoin created? It was really created to poke fun at Bitcoin and what's called Bitcoin maximalists. And but when looked at under a certain lens, people flock to Dogecoin because it's a really cute dog that is the mascot of the coin. One, two, Elon Musk has spoken highly of Dogecoin. So, there's a lot of people who are fans of Elon who have jumped on the Dogecoin bandwagon. But then also what's called the tokenomics of Dogecoin actually provides a sustainable rate of inflation. So, when we look at the US dollar, which is looking towards quite a bit of inflation due to the current economic circumstances, there's no way of really controlling it. The Fed controls those inflation rates. Whereas with Dogecoin, it's a fixed inflation rate. So there's actually been a couple of economists, or a few economists, who have also taken to Dogecoin because they like that fixed inflation rate that comes with it. It's not like Bitcoin where there's a limited supply of 21 million coins. It will appreciate, I believe, at a 2% inflation rate. I could be wrong about that. But Dogecoin is also known as a meme coin. So it really has no value proposition or use case associated with it. But once again, people have flocked to it for a number of reasons, and it can be a global currency, or one of the global currencies, if it is adopted in the right manner. So not financial advice. I'm just trying.
You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Where did I go out?
You were giving us your disclaimer about not being a financial advisor.
Yeah, you guys know that. That's the typical not legal financial or tax advice thing. So, gotta say it.
Now, one thing I think I've learned about the West Coast, particularly Oakland, is that there is a homeless problem.
Yeah, I mean,
we're seeing it a lot more on the East Coast, but this lady here aims to help end homelessness beginning here in Baltimore. She's a native New Yorker, and she's my Spelman sister. If you know anything about Morehouse, can't have a Spelman and not have a Morehouse. Can't have a Morehouse and not have a Spelman.
True. Spell house all day, all day. Yeah, but here in Baltimore, I am working toward policy change for tiny homes and micro shelters for people who are unhoused and experiencing housing insecurity. Now with the eviction moratorium not being extended and In some states, you know, things are still progressing and people are still being evicted and they shouldn't. It's a lot going on, and we're going to see an influx of homelessness as well as foreclosures. It's going to hit the whole spectrum. So in addition to what COVID has added, I do think that Baltimore can benefit from tiny homes because of the vacancy, the blight, the the low barrier to entry to building a tiny home, and the surplus that Baltimore has for us to choose from. 16,000 of those vacants belong to Baltimore City. At least those are the ones that they'll claim, but we know that there's like 40,000 some odd vacants here in Baltimore. So dismantling them, salvaging those materials, building smaller structures, I really think is the way to do it. And you guys are already doing stuff like that over in Cali. There's a ton of tiny home communities and tent encampments and things that the community supports. So I'm hoping to bring that to Baltimore.
So let me tell you where the fight breaks out, Cabal. Quita, all liberal and stuff. She want to defend the homeless. Nicole, are you on? What you doing? Are you on or not?
Yes, somebody did put me up in here. I see y'all. Hey, Kamal. Hey, Peter. And I noticed that you say that the fight, as soon as I come on, you talking about the fight. What fight?
No. Quita want to defend the homeless, and I ain't all of that. You know, the homeless got responsibilities. The homeless got responsibilities too. They just can't be going up in houses, squatting, cutting on the water, and I got to pay a water bill, and they over there getting free water and burning candles. Got me worried about my neighbors getting their house caught on fire. I ain't playing with the homeless. They almost burned my damn house down. The homeless got responsibility too. I know they got mental health issues, but I ain't trying to get one because they got one.
Well, let's be clear. All homeless people do not have mental health issues. Some homeless people are living in their cars and couch surfing and not in the vacants or the vandals that are on your block. Like, there are people that are sleeping on couches every day, and that is considered homelessness. And that's something that I don't think people recognize. But
I'm
Donnie,
talking about
you're
the
right.
ones that want to shoot dope and don't care who
You know
they
what? If I didn't know where I was going to sleep tonight, I might have a drink or something to get my mind off of it. But Donnie, I understand that. I understand that you don't have the same love that I have, and you don't have to. That's not your job, and I understand that. But what you can do is talk to your city council member and complain to them about the homelessness that is going on in your community, so that when I come and I say I want to provide housing, they're like, oh yeah, we know that problem exists.
Or I could just let Pharaoh loose in the alley.
My issue is with the ones that come from the county that are being dropped off, that are vandalizing our buildings. I've caught them on videotape vandalizing the buildings. And they come here and then they go back to the county. You know what I mean? They come here, they wreak havoc, and they're perpetrating like they're homeless or some type of, destitute citizen. And that, don't come to Baltimore doing that. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm offended by. That's what they're doing. And they're setting up anywhere,
Yes.
And they're so jealous. They're pooping on our sidewalks. It's crazy. Like, why are you coming here wreaking havoc in the minority neighborhoods? And it's because they can. Because I'm here to tell you, we can't go to Howard County. You sure can't go to Calvert County. You bet not go to Montgomery County and do what they are doing in these minority neighborhoods. So I just ask people to be vigilant, call the police, when you see them, and they're being destructive, because literally I watched on video. I sent that to you, Donnie. These guys, going into a warehouse, scrapping, pulling up in Mercedes Benzes. When I called the police got their identification from Howard County. Why are you out here in these Baltimore warehouses robbing and creating this havoc in our neighborhood? And you from Howard County?
You know what's interesting? There's a group of boys that come from Howard County. I'm in East Baltimore, and there's like this empty fountain that, used to have water on it, but they come and they skateboard, but they leave their trash and they leave their belongings and they have a party. But then it's like, ain't nobody in my hood skateboarding. Like, we look at that, and that's not what we're doing. So I don't know why you think you can come here and do that and then leave your things. Like, it was cleaner before you got here. Like, that is not always the case in Baltimore. So don't be bringing it here and making it even worse. So
now this is where me and Quita make up. Quita has given up probably 40 hours of her time in the past 3 weeks to help us clean up after the homeless and other addicts, the homeless, addicts, and others who have dropped trash in our West Baltimore community, our beloved Sandtown. So Quita, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You showed up like a true soldier. I was ready to pass the F out, but I said, I can't do it with my Spelman sister here. I can't, because if you went to Clark, I probably would have left you.
Donnie, you know what? HBCU love. I'm not going to even contribute to that, but I hear what you're saying.
I'm biased. I'm going to take care of my Spelman sisters. But if you went to Clark, I probably would have like, you know what? I got to go.
This guy,
hey, wait a minute. I went to FAMU, so where do I fit in the mix?
HBCU love. I'm with it. I don't know about Donnie. Donnie be funny. Come on.
I went to TSU too, so just 2 HBCUs right there.
I support this message.
So right, Nicole, you know a little bit about the Bitcoin that Kamal's talking about. And again, if you're just joining us, these wonderful people help make up the BlackUSA.News Network. And tonight's show is all about celebrating their various shows. Nicole comes on Wednesday nights with Tamara. Quita comes on Monday nights with Dave and Dayson and what's Powerfest name? The short guy? Lewis. And then Kamal's Friday night. We had Doug in there, but you know Doug got attention deficit disorder. He can't stay still. And Nicole got a blinking camera. Stay still, Nicole.
He's gonna keep giving you a hard time.
Can't hear you. I can't hear you, Nicole.
We still can't hear you. It doesn't say that you're on mute, but we can't. Are your earbuds
your microphone?
There we go. Nope.
No. See, you gotta sit still. Okay. So tell me more.
Well, I had a question for Kamal. He was saying something about the usability for the Dogecoin and Bitcoin. So I see that Bitcoin is like generally accepted everywhere. So what do you mean by use cases, and why wouldn't Dogecoin be used in the same places that, Bitcoin? So I get it that, American Express, Visa, the business decides what they accept, but is Dogecoin not one of those things?
Well, Dogecoin, once again, it grew in popularity, and now more institutions are beginning to accept and adopt Dogecoin as well. But when we look at what Bitcoin is, and let's say the number 2 cryptocurrency by market capitalization is called Ethereum. And what Ethereum is it's a little bit different. Where Bitcoin is essentially, it's a payment rail, right? It's meant to be an electronic cash system where payment goes between one party to another. Whereas you look at Ethereum is essentially a virtual machine. It's known as the world's computer. So with Ethereum, decentralized applications can be built. Non-fungible tokens, what's called NFTs, can also be built. Decentralized website domains. So you can think of, let's just say, Bitcoin as email was back in the 90s, whereas Ethereum is the World Wide Web. Can you see the distinction between the two?
No.
So, no. Okay. Well,
absolutely. What do you mean? No. Email and the World Wide Web, Donnie?
So, if you look at
he's speaking Greek. This stuff is way
He's
above my pay
speaking
grade.
Martian to me.
Yeah.
It's just
speaking
like a
Martian
credit
to me.
card. And idea of a credit card, technically, where you give something value that may not necessarily be tangible. So it's just like another form of payment, just like a credit card. You know what I mean?
I get that.
It's the same. It's the same ideology. Honestly.
Okay. Well, let's go over here to
Minus
Doug. Doug is staying still for a second. He can't do this long. So Doug, go ahead and get your 5 minutes because I know you can't do this.
Well, first off, I'm humbled to be on the stage with all these great hosts that I've been watching over the last couple, 2-3 months. Second, our fearless leader, Donnie Glover, who has put this stage together. Thank you, Donnie. Really appreciate it. And I think that you are allowing us all to make a difference in our communities, our neighborhood, our city, county, state, and in this federal, what you call government. In light of me saying all that, I want to be clear with everyone on the stage. I'm in the presence of greatness here. And yes, go on, girl. Go on, Quita. Go on, Quita. But one thing I've learned, and I think Donnie's seen my resume, if we are to increase our foothold, specifically in the media, we have got to start targeting our powers on our elected local officials. Dollars are coming into our community. Oh, that's my sister. Hey, what's going on tomorrow?
Stay focused. Stay focused.
Okay, yeah. You know I get sidetracked in a minute.
Quickly.
So what I want to quickly say, and I'm going to be brief, please join your political PACs. Join the who's the city council, who's the mayor, who's the assembly people. I'm on Janani Ramachandri's campaign about 5 years ago.
That does not sound like a black lady.
Huh?
That does not sound like a black woman.
Well, let me tell you something. The other lady says she's black and she's Puerto Rican. And her and her husband are raping this city. Oh, I didn't mean to say that.
I want to know about Larry Elder. We got 2 California cats on here. Is Larry Elder going to be the new governor of California?
He'll be the new Chicken George of America.
Come on, do you think Larry Elder, the black Republican, is going to be your next governor?
I don't really like to weigh in on politics. I'm more of a finance and technology person, but I am a Californian. And the proposition of Larry Elder actually scares me to want to vote for Gavin Newsom. So
he works for Trump, bruh.
But you know what? We have issues with voter apathy, and we have issues with the voting system, period. I guess a story came out earlier this week where there was 300 ballots that were found, and they were misplaced ballots, possibly. So, I know I'm going to do what I need to do to get my ballot cast. But once again, when I'm looking at the overall apathy of voters currently in this political ecosystem, and then the ability for things to go wrong or somebody to hijack our voting system, I'm highly concerned. And so, like I said, all I can do is do my part. But once again, I'm more of a finance person. And okay. I think that's really where we need to start focusing our energy as well. I mean, we can walk and chew bubblegum, right? We can do that, but we do need to have more of a focus on finance with the racial wealth gap.
Exactly. Well, to that end.
I'll tell you, Doug, we've been joined by Tamara Brown. Now, y'all need to know on Wednesday nights, Tamara and Nicole have one of the hottest shows in Baltimore. And they have elected officials trembling in their boots. I heard a couple of them peed on themselves because Tamara and them were laying out facts, these people had to go to the psychiatric hospital because they was listening to this show so much.
Then that means
Okay,
they're doing a great job.
Tamara, come on in, say hello.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us, Donnie. Nicole, you want to address that exaggeration, Donnie?
Well, we just try to bring it as it is. It's in straightforward layman terms. It's not to necessarily offend, but if the truth offends, then it is what it is. I mean, sometimes we can't be mad necessarily at the messenger. We need to be mad at the fact that truth exists. You know what I'm saying? And we have to start holding ourselves accountable for how we treat one another, and how we need to move all of our cities where minorities are facing the same duress, because we are facing the same duress in many urban cities, not just Baltimore, Chicago, Oakland, New York, everywhere. So we need to hold our Blackticians accountable. And that is my word, Blacktician, which means Black politician and sometimes morticians, because some of them, that's what they try to put. So, but that is the word. It's a form of Black exploitation. And they need to be held accountable. So if they're offended by anything that is said on our show, then maybe they should check themselves and say, am I mad at what they're saying, or am I being personal about the messenger? So if you're mad about the messenger, that's one thing, but you need to be mad about the fact that the truth exists, what they're speaking of, and check that. So,
well, I'm gonna pull Quita in on this. Quita, is Baltimore an easy city to do business in, or do you find the opposite, like Baltimore chases businesses away?
I will say both. Who are we talking about? Do they look like me? Like who is it that is trying to do business in Baltimore? Because Plank came in here out of nowhere and just bought up the whole damn city. So I know that there are Black investors that want to buy blocks in Baltimore that have not been given those same opportunities year after year. So let's be specific about who's trying to do business in Baltimore, because that matters.
That's right.
It does.
Tamara, you and Nicole, y'all the gurus.
Yeah. So I did want to say the premise of the show, Sister Biz, that comes on every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on this wonderful network. The premise of the show was Black women in business. Nicole and I have our respective businesses, highlighting Black women in businesses, but then there's other complexities. And, Nicole made a good point that, a lot of cities in the United States are experiencing, Black people across the nation are experiencing the same things, but we tend to come back to Baltimore because I think the whole theory is Baltimore is majority Black, and Baltimore
Stay still, Doug.
And Baltimore has a majority Black politicians, and or what do you call them, Nicole? Whatever Nicole calls them. So we come back to Baltimore because you have a majority. Yes, you have the majority Black politicians and Black constituents, and it's not working here. So if it's not working here, I can't see it working anywhere else. So we focus on Baltimore City because of its uniqueness and who represents the city and who's representing us on a state level, a lot of people that look like us. And we can't get the simple fundamental things down that benefit us. So what city to focus on more so than Baltimore? So we do try to cover the nation, but we need to focus on Baltimore. What an example we can make if it can work here.
Doug, you've had similar challenges out there in Oakland. You're muted.
Exactly. And like Sister Biz, we have to start highlighting these bad actors because they think that they're doing a good job while they get paid and their constituents get played. Until we start highlighting these things and voting their butts out of office, it's going to be a cycle. We have a man who was an assembly member, and when the new administration, Biden, came in, he promoted our past Attorney General into his administration. The gentleman, I'm not going to even give him the airtime to mention his name, but he was moved to State Attorney General, and his wife is running for his seat as Assembly member. Now, we have so much corruption here in Oakland that when I walk into the meetings, they look at me and like you and Tamara and Nicole, they shiver in their boots, and they should, because if you're not wrong, then why are you worried about what's being rightly said? If we don't point it out, we lose our opportunity to expose bad politics, because at the end of the day, that's what's putting us at the bottom of every poll. I look at all the faces on this stage here, and none of you can tell me where we're second up from the bottom. Every poll, whether it be health, economics, labor, industry, whatever, we are at the bottom of every poll. And if we are going to resolve that and fix that, we have got to start letting these politicians know that when the dollars start flowing into the city, they have to start equally flowing into the Black brothers and sisters. And I'm going to further say that by the disparity study that Tamara and I have discussed, that was done by Mason and Tillman, Dr. Ramsey. It showed that 86 cents out of every dollar, contractual dollar in the city of Oakland, goes to white men. Look at, let's say, read my lips, white men. So out of $450 million a year in contracts given out by just the city of Oakland, 86 cents of those dollars go to white men. And you wonder why there's so many Black homelessness. You wonder why so many Black businesses are going under. The politicians can change that, but we are not looking at the right ball. Everyone on the stage here, use your platform to start changing the political landscape, the political leaders, and then we can gain the political dollar.
I'm not going to go too far to say that. I think we got to be focused on our money and the politics. You know, I cannot put all my eggs in the political basket because of corruption, because of people's egos, because of greed, and because some people just shouldn't be there no damn way. Their daddy might have been in politics, and then they capitalize and cashing in on that. So let me get over to Kamal. Kamal, you, from what I've gathered, use your 9 to 5 to help Black businesses.
Well, yeah, I work to help all small businesses in my capacity. It is a public office, or it's a government office. But to go back to what Doug was talking about when it comes to the distribution of dollars to certified Black businesses in the state, one study that I heard, and this was a while back, that he was talking about Oakland, but statewide, Black businesses are getting less than a penny per every dollar of state money. So that says everything right there. And I can only do so much from my seat, and that got me back to writing my book. I could only do so much in San Mateo County, which doesn't have a very large Black population. I do what I can to work with small Black businesses throughout the Bay Area and throughout the state, and just to make sure that they're availed of these programs and that they're there. But, we have a significant hurdle that we need to overcome. We have obstacles. And once again, this is why, like I said, I wrote my book.
Let me just say,
hold tight, Doug. You cut the lady off. Come on, Tamara.
I'm sorry, Tamara.
I just wanted to make a comment about as far as like the disconnect from politics. And when you talk about that penny and you talk about the 83 cents going to a white man, that's politics. And we can't ignore that, because you can't take care of your finances if you're making a cent off all this money. Those people that are making those 99 cents are able to invest in cryptocurrency. They're able to grow generational wealth. It's our tax dollars. We're not getting anything back, but we still have to pay taxes on our homes, or they're taken. We have to pay taxes on, the money that we make. So I don't want to walk away from politics, because that's what they want us to do. And they want us fighting so hard to survive financially that we ignore it. The politics go hand in hand with our finances. White folks have made money for decades, for centuries, off of their political connections and who's sitting in the seat, whether they're black or white. They're making.
Why don't we? Why don't we? We got all these blacks in office. Why don't we? Hey, Nicole, can you pull your camera down?
Wait, can I just say something really quick? Just really quick. Donnie, it's because we got too much damn sense. I don't think we would have ever elected someone like Donald Trump, who is a celebrity ideal, like he's an idea on TV to run our country. I don't see us, anybody on this panel, ever considering doing something like that. And so now this man, who is a talking head, is still making money off of his presidency, and that is something that we can't benefit from. We just don't have that type of clout. But go ahead.
Let me just say this. I've been asked to be on a panel in Lyon, France next year, and I've asked my sister Tamara and her husband to join us. But on this panel, my attorney, who helped me while I was in the basement of my mother and father's house for 3 years, I've been asked to sit on a panel and articulate and educate the world on how white men will destroy our black economics mentally. Because
hey, Doug, let me tell you something. France don't need no help understanding that. France got their foot on. No. France got their foot on. France got their foot on. France has their foot on Haiti's neck for 200 years. They know everything about what you're talking about, and they still doing it. So I ain't all that impressed by Parlez-vous Francais and Eiffel Tower. Them sons of bitches been putting their foot on our black people's necks for 200-300 years. They don't get no pass.
Donnie, this is not about France. This is where they're holding this summit this next year. They hold it in a country.
Tell them when you go over there, tell France to take their foot off of Haiti's neck, because they still mad that Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines put their foot in their froggy asses.
But Donnie, this is about black men and women having.
And we tired of talking. They don't understand. You know, the only thing a bully understand, Doug, is a brick upside their damn head. That's all they understand.
Or a message in their inbox.
That's all they understand. I don't want to talk. Ain't nothing to talk about. They know they wrong. Just like them addicts in my alley, the white woman shooting dope called me a effing N-word. She know her ass was wrong. I ain't playing with these people. Enough with that kumbaya stuff.
But we have to enlighten the world that this is not an American problem. This is not a France problem. This is not a black or white problem. This is a human. Wait a minute, Donnie. This is a human problem. We're not considered by white folks as even human.
I don't care. I see him in my back alley eating out the alley. Okay, I know who the hell is human. And tell Donald Trump come get his cousins out my damn alley and pick up all these damn needles. We know who human. I ain't playing that game with these people.
If I could say something really quick, white supremacy is a white people problem that they choose not to address, but we're the ones who suffer the most from it.
You're right.
Well, all I can say is that I will tell my story of how they spent $2.5 million to fight me, and still they had to pay me. The point I'm making here is, and that's 2.5 in legal fees. The point I'm making here, Don, is it takes a strong mind to fight the first 6 months, the first year, the third year, you start thinking you're going out of your mind. Our people need to understand that it's okay to go see a therapist. It's okay to talk to someone about how the one side of me is saying, you know what, let me cat and go up here and handle that. That's how I want to handle it. Now, you want to keep it real? That's the hood I came from. But that's going to do nothing for the cause. That's going to do, I'm going to feel good until they put a bullet in my head, because I'm not going to be like the white boy. They're not taking me to Burger King. They taking me to the cemetery.
Not only
But
that, there's some assistant or some deputy or some next person that'll just
Right.
replace them. It'll just keep happening.
And so the point I'm making here, Donnie, is until we get mentally strong, all of us, we're going to be destroyed physically and financially, because mentally is where you win. You know how brothers make it into prison and pens when they're accused of doing things they didn't do for 5, 10, 20 years? And I've heard this 100% out of every brother who's done it. They said, man, I was free in my mind. I was free in my mind. I stayed free in my mind. When I was in that cell, I kept saying in my mind, and they're right. They're right. If you're not free in your mind, you've already lost the battle. You've already lost the battle. And getting back on the politics, the politics is where it starts. A multi-million-billion-dollar business gets that way because of government contracts, period. You cannot, unless you're a Macy's or Hilton, and even they have government contracts. Government contracts will make you multi-millionaire and billionaire. And you can say whatever you want to say. Anybody on this panel, I'm telling you all this. Get those government contracts, because when I got my 7-digit contract and stuff, that's where my business took off. The government pays you, and they pay the white boy just like it's a job. You get a check every month on the same time. It's easy to pay bills like that. But when you deal with the private sector and you get a change of regime in those big businesses, you know what they say? Well, we're not going to pay these black people on time. We're not going to pay. The government, whether you're black or white, they got to pay you on time. So, Donnie, in all due respect, yes, until we change the politicians, we're going to be broke. We hold politicians in there who are going to respect our dollars, because if every black person in America stopped spending money for one day in this economy, we would shut it down.
Okay, what say these sisters about that? Because y'all control the $1.3 trillion or however much we got. Tamara, Nicole, Quita, y'all control our money. Kamal might do the Dogecoin, but y'all control the money for real, for real. So what y'all say?
I agree with the viewer. Michael Haney wrote that we need an economic revolution in our community, and I do believe that's something that we're missing. We've had we are going through Black Lives Matter in general, in whole, police brutality, but I really think that we have to take that same effort towards our economic freedom, and we have to fight for things like government contracts. And that's the next revolution, and we got to take that very seriously. We can't wait for these corporations to do their
outreach,
their integration plans,
or their diversity and equity and inclusion of whatever
we have to take control, and there has to be a calculated revolution to take back, to get our money. It's about the money. And we need to be about our money, but we need to be about each other at the same time. And I think
I agree that it's definitely mindset more than anything. I started investing in Baltimore and thinking, if I make affordable houses, people will buy them. But no, if you don't have the mindset or the aptitude to think that you're a homeowner, you're going to think about Big Mama's house or your uncle's house that has this dilapidated roof and isn't worth anything. And you don't see the value in owning land or a home. And I feel like that is a huge problem in Baltimore. So I work hard toward that mindset shift, high school age, college age, and otherwise.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've just been joined by a huge supporter of this show, because he's been working me on the sidelines, Mr. Michael Haney. And I'm going to go drink me some coffee. You got the floor, Mr. Haney.
Hey, Donnie, thanks a lot, man. I really enjoyed Tamara, Doug this morning, Kamal, your comments on Dogecoin, and your teaching us about that aspect of finance, and Quita. and Nicole. I mean, I really enjoyed the conversation and just what you all have to say. I've learned so much. We need this in our community, this kind of conversation, because this is where we need to go in terms of an economic revolution. I am so frustrated and almost angry as a 63-year-old Black man who sees the sunset in his life and a lack of progress of our community because of what I perceive as our lack and ability to communicate the right things to each other and get on the same page. And so I implore people to listen, because this is where decisions are made for our community. People like you, someone like Kamal, tomorrow, who's been in government and understands the inner workings and can tell us the truth. Working with Nicole and Quita out there on the ground and Doug on the West Coast. This is the real power and our ability to centralize some issues so that we can begin to truly move things forward. I believe that as we take on an economic revolution, our murder rates, our homeless rates will go down, because we will see more self-confidence and more self-empowerment of our young people, particularly our children. And so I'm going to shut up and continue to shoplift and get all this good information.
No,
because
you got to tell them about Africa. Tell them about Africa. Africa.
Hey, well, the only thing I'm going to say about Africa, I said this morning on another talk show, in order for us to be African Americans, if we consider ourselves that, and to really begin an education process, if we're ever to see reparations happen in this country, we should demand it for the purposes of sending every child to Africa to understand their history and heritage and see how we can live as a people. I went 24 hours in Africa without seeing one Caucasian individual and seeing businesses flourish, political processes flourish. Not that it all was without issues, because corruption is still there, but it's nice to be, hit on the head by a policeman that looks like me and give him $5 to go through the toll line, whatever. You know what I'm saying? To understand that there are systemic ways that we can still have our own economy. But if our young people are ever to understand what it is like to be an African American, they got to go to Africa, where education isn't free. They got to understand the appreciation of understanding the tribal differences and getting along, in spite of the fact that you may have issues, that we still can get along as a people.
Hey, Doug, I want to know what you think about Afghanistan. They trying to free everybody in Afghanistan, and we still trying to get reparations. How you feel about that, Doug?
Well, we talked about that on the last show with our Marine Sergeant, Larry Lewis. Larry Lewis said that that he was over there training American Marines in 1999, right before they bombed the Trade Center. And he was very clear. And this is a man who fought in Desert Storm. This is a man who saw the heavy artillery we have over there and in the American arsenal, that we can drop a bomb and won't lose one life, level the whole, all the Taliban in one shot. What he said is this, and I'd like to see a second to say something else after I say this. What he said was this: if they don't want to fight for themselves, why are we over there dying for them? If they don't want to fight for themselves, why are we over there dying for them? And that $1 trillion that we've invested over there, think of how that would have helped the Black community in businesses, education, health. So that's one thing. The second thing that Michael Haney, and I see your name up here a lot, so I want to run this by you, my brother. I think everyone on this stage knows what I'm going to say. We need lawyers. We need lawyers out there to educate our people, to protect our people, because that's how white people are winning. They know the law. They know the law. If you
and the
see
loopholes.
yes, and I'm gonna be quiet, but I've started stating that from day one, Donnie. Every case I've won with UPS, Cisco Foods, Alameda County, Clark Construction, whoever it is, We need lawyers to make our case. And
Come on, Tamar. Come on, Tamar. Come on, Tamar. I see you.
I just want to say
I
one
want to hear
last
what
thing.
you're thinking, Tamar. What you thinking?
Kamal Hubbard.
Hold up, Doug. Let her talk. Come on.
I mean, the lawyers in this town aren't standing up for nothing but themselves and patting their pockets. And I don't want to insult anybody, but that's just the truth. You don't have anybody really about civil rights. It's about posturing. It's about getting on TV. It's about making a name for yourself and then getting that check, that 33%, that 33.33%, or that 40%, and your administrative fees, and just So it may look like you're this civil rights warrior on TV, but a lot of people really aren't. They're not doing any free work. They're not really helping anybody out. Don't let it fool you. They're making money, and that's the bottom line. So money motivates a lot of these lawyers. Doug, you're talking about lawyers that are just about it, and I haven't seen it. You don't just have people that are just about it. Don't care who's they're going to shake. All these rotten roots in the city. A lot of rotten roots need to be shook, and we don't have lawyers doing it. If you can name one, Donnie, I mean, somebody. I don't know anybody that's doing it that's not doing it for money.
Well, that's why you have to change the politician, because you got crooked, nasty, rotten, sell us out politician. Then it's hard to implement laws and follow the laws, because those raggedy, gut-wrenching, they get paid while we get played politicians, we need to run them out of town. And it sounds like Baltimore, we need to rally up and boot them out.
Donnie, if I can say before we close, I'm going back to Africa in February. There's a pipeline I discovered. I'll be visiting Rwanda, Tanzania, back to Nairobi, where we have the base of business, and Ethiopia. It is all opened up, and I'm hoping, as I lay the groundwork for some of you that may have interests that may be relevant over there, that maybe you can join me on this journey. But first, fast forward to Afghanistan. I want to be able to fly comfortably. In my opinion, we just got to drop a bomb, because what's going on now is that while they may be targeting Joe Biden and Donald Trump and his friends, I'm on the plane too. You know what I'm saying? And now I've got to look over my shoulders and understand, am I going to be collateral damage? So now we started something, and we just got to finish it for the sake, my God, of me and my family to be able to travel safely. You know what I'm saying? So we can get into the politics of it all, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the point of me being able to travel and move safely, not being stuck in the World Trade Center, not being stuck somewhere where I become collateral damage as a Black man. So just, you know what I'm saying? You're just going to blow them off the earth, which I think is ultimately going to happen anyway in the next few months. We have to do something, because if not, we're always going to be living under that cloud and that threat.
They let them in the country. That's my problem. Like,
crazy. They just let 2,200 of them in, 22,000. I'm like, who checked the passports on them?
And where they gonna live at?
They're at Dulles Airport, living in the Expo Center at Dulles now. 12,000 in the Expo Center at Dulles to be dispersed to military bases throughout the U.S., right? And, suppose only 5 or 6 of them are Taliban that just got through, because they're smart enough to have sent some of them over here with them. Who bombed the World Trade Center? Who shot the planes out of the sky? I am afraid as of today to get on a plane, and you should be too.
I just don't like how them old heads always talking to young heads into blowing themselves up.
Michael, my friend and I, she and I have been wanting to go to Africa next year. So I'm going to get your contact information, because it sounds like you are well versed in the traveling over there. And from my understanding, it's good to go with somebody like you who could get us over there safely, and we can mingle and jingle with the brothers and sisters. So you'll be hearing.
I promise you, man, it would be an experience. And on the ground over there, we have friends connected to Baltimore and the U.S. and real business opportunities. Real business opportunities. We just have to understand that where we are, as much as we want to hope that it's going to happen, the reality of it is that it's easy for me to go 7,500 miles and deal with people that look like me. You know what I'm saying? Still have to be sharp and astute, right? But a bit more trusting, man. So yes, I'll make sure you have the information. But February, the entire month, I'm going.
February.
And I'm excited, man. Very excited.
Well, Mike, I just want to tell you that when you travel internationally, maybe you might want to lose your American accent and start using some mnemonic like and diminish, and then they might not think of you as the ugly American. But yes, because of America's foreign policy, we all got to suffer when we travel to other countries, and you know, we got to learn to find our cousins throughout the diaspora. You remember back in '79 when the when the helicopter went down in Iran, and they had the hostages. They were gonna let the black one go, but he was like, no, I'm an American. And they say, well, sit your dumb ass over there with the rest of them races. And we trying to understand your situation, but you up here defending the very people who are imprisoning you.
Well, Donnie, what I had to lose and what I had to gain was some humility and understand that their perception of us anyway is that we're stupid anyway, in a large part because we think we know everything. But, you know, as we get humble, and they want to understand our experiences as African Americans that have had no relevant experience in Africa. And as we understand that experience in Africa and with what we've learned in America, particularly under this system that we've been in, we've got a whole lot to offer. But the key is to listen and to look first and then share experiences, because they want the experience from African Americans that understand Africa because you've been on the ground and you've given them an opportunity to educate you as well to where your ancestry came that wasn't enslaved at some point.
Well, I like what Waquita said. Peace. If they told me, hey, you can stay here with these white people or die, I've been like, hey, y'all, any last letters you want me to get to your family? Because I'm out.
I'm all about the Africa trip. I wanted to know, where exactly are you going in Africa? Are you going to be West Coast, East, like where?
So our foundation is in Nairobi. From Nairobi, we went to Uganda. So now we have connected with a young lady, Rebecca, here in Baltimore. You know Rebecca. Yeah, yes. Rebecca's phenomenal. So they're doing some work over in Nairobi. When she heard I was in Nairobi and had partnered with a couple of colleges over there, she's in consortia with a foundation out of the US, a Black foundation, and they're doing a women's center, for instance. They're building a hotel in Ethiopia, and there's some opportunity in Rwanda as well. So Ethiopia, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Nairobi, but it's all connected. We did a webinar earlier this month that was attended by over 125 business people on the West Coast, Barcelona, Spain, mainly Nairobi, and here on the East Coast. And it was compelling to hear what people had to say. So I would love to get you information.
I got to cut you, Mike. Before we end the show, I want y'all to see this young lady's been holding our Saturday mornings. We've worked on the Black Business Empowerment Commission out of Harlem. She's a native New Yorker. Her name is Tasmia Gathers. Let's give her some love, y'all, and welcome her to the family.
I've turned my daughter over to her. I gave her my daughter.
Yes, Myra.
Yep. You were phenomenal. I gave you my daughter. That's how great I thought of you.
Thank you. And I'm sure she enjoyed the course. What did she say about the Jumpstart course?
Phenomenal. She's just asking me for seed money. But what can I say?
We had some amazing ideas that came out of the Jumpstart Workshop program. So I actually have to call her. So thank you for reminding me to do that. It's been on my mind to hit her up. Hi, all the other co-hosts.
Tell them what you do, Tasmania.
For my segment on Saturday mornings.
Yes, ma'am. Tell them the name of it, all of that.
Okay, so the name of it is called the Blackout Live from New York, where I am exploring different economic engines, but as they relate to Black folks. So I choose topics for us to cover and dive into, but really from the eyes of how does it impact us as a Black community across the diaspora of Black people, right? So it's not just American based, it's really around the diaspora of Black folks. And how can we really try to become more self-sufficient and really think outside of the borders that we live in?
Can I say something about that? Hi, Tasmira.
Hello.
I think you have a great concept to your show, but something I think to ponder, and this is a push or a point that I try to make in my book, is we begin to draw funds from the U.S. economy into this global Black diaspora economy to support our businesses as well as create a Black UBI. What are your guys' thoughts on something like that?
I think that is needed. I think that is worth people exploring, because if you think about the economic engine of Black people across the diaspora, we're like $1 trillion gazillion dollar economic engine because we're everywhere in the world. You can't go anywhere and not see a Black person, right? But I think that we are conditioned to only think about ourselves in the border or in the state that we live in. So even in New York, you'll see people only want to do business in New York or on the East Coast and forget that it's the Midwest and the West Coast and the South, right? Like we don't really combine those things together. And then when we do think about doing business abroad, we go straight to Alibaba, which is like, that has nothing to do with us. That has nothing to do with us at all. But that's like, when you hear people that are starting new businesses, they're like, oh, I'm going to go buy wholesale from Alibaba instead of thinking about, okay, what African country can I get the same products from if I'm going to go outside of my boundaries? That could probably get it for cheaper and a better quality, but we never really go that far. We just go to what's presented in front of us.
Yeah, I think it's a big concept. We're not even quite there yet, like you said, from a mental standpoint. But if any of this gets traction, I've spoken with people, and I know I'm marked for death for a concept like that. Once again, if it gets any traction.
Come on, tell them what
I'm hoping out of this pandemic that we can take control of our corner stores, which is the basic foundation of economics in our community. When I see that we're able to take control of our corner stores and carry outs in our community, which this pandemic should allow entrepreneurship to grow among Blacks very simply, then we can start focusing on the bigger pictures. But as long as our money stays in our community, but in other demographics' hands, it's tough to think that we can come up with a strategy to bring our money together when every time we go up the store to get a soda, we're giving it to someone else to make their community strong.
I'm glad you said that.
We're going to do our final wrap up.
If Michael,
we're going to do our final.
Okay,
let me just say this. Final thought. We're going to do our final thoughts for the evening. We're going to go with the ladies, then we go with the gentlemen. Tamara, you got the floor.
Oh, well, I just want to say, Doni, thank you for the opportunity to be on this network, to speak my mind, to speak about things that are important to Nicole and I. With no recourse, you kind of just let us cut loose. So we hope you all will join us every Wednesday on Sister Biz from 7 to 8. And, just for viewers that do have issues with what we say, then, you got to have thick skin to watch, especially if it's about you. But we're just not going to stop. We're going to keep hitting those topics, and we're going to keep making it happen every Wednesday. So, Nicole, you got anything else for us?
Let's build. I think we have a lot of work to do as Black people. Right now, we're at the of home ownership. Let's push our politicians to make sure that we do have adequate housing. And we don't want rentals. We want home ownership. We want jobs. We want education for our children, and we want what they call is the American as well. So, and we're going to keep pushing for it. I don't care where I live at. I'm a city girl, and that's what I'm going to continue to fight for. So they can say I live in the suburbs or whatever they want to say, but that's fine. My heart is with the city, and I'm going to continue to fight for the city. So here I am, and let's build. Let's build. Let's continue to build.
Okay, Quita.
I am totally with that. I want to continue to build. I want to start listening to all of the shows. I haven't tuned into all of the shows, but I obviously have to now. But yes, thank you, Doni, for sharing your platform with us and letting me say the things that I want to say without any filter. And yeah, just thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you, Quita, for coming over with Dave and the others to help clean up our William Penn Hughes, where we found a dozen needles on the playground. Tasmia gathers.
I'm sorry. More importantly, we will be back there on Saturday, September 4th at 8 a.m., 1200 North Fremont.
Good stuff. New York City. Tasmia.
Thank you, Doni, for pushing me to even think about having a show. Because when you called me, I was like, show? Me? A show? I'm not sure. What am I going to talk about? But I've been having a great time exploring. It actually pushes me to read more, to be honest, and to think outside of my own confines of, like, you know, I'm an American, so sometimes I still have that nationalism that's happening. So it forces me to think outside and think more globally. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to meet all the other hosts. I hope that we can collaborate on some shows soon. So thank you for just having me.
And that's Saturday, 10 a.m. East Coast time. Doug Blackshear, you got the floor.
I'm just going to say this in a nutshell because, Doni, you are right. When you give me the mic, I run and talk and run and talk. We need
but I'm attacking you. I'm attacking you like Ronnie Lott.
We need lawyers to represent us so that we understand and we stop these politicians from letting this government rape us for our fair share. And we need to start putting politicians in who represent us, because it starts there. Local politicians they ass us out if they're not looking out for people who look like us on this stage. Thank you.
Kamal Hubbard.
Yeah, what else could I say that hasn't already been said? Thank you so much, Doni, for allowing me to be a part of this family. I want to thank all the other content creators that I shared the platform with today. You guys are great. And thanks for allowing me to be on your shows. Folks who have invited me on their shows so far, I'm looking forward to inviting you on my show as well. And thanks to everybody who's had a chance to check out my show, as well as pick up my book, DeFi for the Diaspora.
Michael Haney, you got the final thought, brother.
Thanks a lot. As Doni is successful and Black USA is successful, we have a chance of being successful. And it's up to us to expand this into cities and states so that more people can hear the communications network that's necessary. Unbought, unbossed, keep Doni in business, expand, tell 20 other people, 20 of your friends that they should listen to this show. And all of a sudden our network begins to expand. Doni, thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you all for teaching me. You've taught me immensely.
To God be the glory. Have a beautiful evening, everybody. I love you all.
Love you too. Thank you, Doni.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Doni. Keep doing the great work, Doni. Boss dog.
Thank you. Thank you.